Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's presentation of the Radical Esports Cup. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Aaron Smith, and in the production carrier, one of the best producers in the company, our friend and colleague, Joshua Wilkie. And the star of today's show, the Radical SR10, one of the purest sports car experiences on iRacing, propelled by a 450 horsepower Ford EcoBoost 4-cylinder turbo, tips the scales at a full 1,000 pounds lighter than an MX-5 Cup car, and with no traction control, no anti-lock brakes, the SR10 can be a handful, but mastering this car will make you better at every car that you drive. And folks, we are not showing a league race here or a private race. We are showing, as we do every Friday, 2100 GMT, the top split of the public server. So if you would like to put some practice laps in, show up, sign up. If you make the top split, you will appear with us on YouTube with some of the best Radical drivers in the world. And the season is winding down, but two great tracks remaining. Next week will be Sebring and the lucky Week 13 season finale at Interlagos. But as you can see, as we go under the cheese and or sausage bridge there, 2024 season 4 week 11 brings us to Road America, located outside the picturesque village of Elkhart Lake in the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin. In the early 1950s, Elkhart Lake had been host to sports car races on public roads, and as happened when racing got safer and people got smarter, the permanent road course put in about 1955. So as we approach the 70-year history of Road America, it plays host to NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and a full slate of amateur track days. Today's configuration: 4 miles, 6.5 clicks, 14 corners, and the current record still from all the way back in 1998, Alex Zanardi in a Reynard kart car. So Aaron, one thing always comes to mind when we talk about Road America and Radicals, and that is velocity, as we ride along with Andre Castro here coming out of turn 14 onto that front straight, and we are going to see some powerful draft action and some cars getting high revs in 6th gear coming under the starter stand here. So what are you looking forward to out of these drivers today?
I'm just looking for the fantastic racing that we're so used to in these Radicals, and especially here at Road America. It's one of my personal favorite tracks, not just on iRacing, but just in the world. Whenever a big name series comes here, you name it, like you were mentioning, IndyCar and IMSA, those two races are absolutely fantastic to watch every single time we come here, as Barry goes all the way to the top with a 159.8, a very good lap time. early on in this qualifying session from James Barry, as Castro there, the driver who you'd expect to be at least up there closer to Barry's about half a second off at the moment, so he's going to have to do some big improvements on that second lap. But yeah, Road America for me, definitely, I'd say in the top 5, maybe even in the top 3 of tracks that I love coming to on iRacing. There's just something about it. It's a little bit old school. It's still challenging. It's usually fairly close in terms of racing. I think everyone on iRacing kind of understands and knows this track fairly well. I think it is one of the older circuits on iRacing, if I am correct. So everyone knows this place very well. It's always good fun to drive around here, no matter what cars you're in, whether it's the old Nissan prototypes all the way to modern GTPs. It is an absolute blast round here, and I think a lot of our drivers will be thinking the same, driving this radical round here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually hopped into an IMSA race here prior to our broadcast. IMSA is running here as well. And as you mentioned, great place for mixed class. And I think you're right. There is a high degree of familiarity among the drivers with this track. But what I think is interesting about Road America is, you know, it's not difficult to get decently quick out here, but to gain the expertise and to, you know, run at the pointy end of the field, there are a couple places where you have to take some risks. There's a couple places that have some nuance that take some time to develop. So when you see James Barry in the 159s, Friedrich now joining him in the 159s, Castro and Crowley, Gonzaga, all tickling that 2-minute mark. Man, oh man, look at that timing tower. We have got some great drivers out here, but yeah, those drivers have really, you know, kind of gone the extra mile and figured out, you know, where to use the curbs, where to take those risks to pick up tenths here and there. And we are going to see some exciting racing. We're going to see some contested entries, of course, into turn 1. We're going to see some contested entries into turn 5. And if people get brave, will we see someone show a nose at the kink or try to get inside of Canada corner? So looking forward to today's race. Always great stuff as qualifying wraps up here. Looks like we're watching Heinz Braun. And speaking of Heinz Braun, let me quickly run through the season top 10 here. Number 1 is James Barry. Heinz Braun, number 2, Andre Castro in P3, and slowly working his way up. He thinks he has a crack at Barry by the end of week 13. We'll see how that unfolds. Jorge Gonzaga there in P4, Caruso in 5, Andreas Friedrich in 6, Reitinen, Vitorino, Bjorklund, and Kjetil Larsen will round out your season top 10. And as you look at our timing tower and as we go through the grid, you will see most of those drivers out here. So this 2100 GMT broadcast that we do here on Fridays does show some of the best radical drivers in the world, and there is your grid. Barry will take the pole, the 159.8. Next to him, his teammate Andreas Friedrich. In the next row, Kjetil Larsen and Andre Castro. Samir Kadura and Havard Gullikson will be in 5 and 6. Franco Sanchez and Luke Crowley there in row 4. Gonzaga and Braun behind them. Alonso Regalado and Kim Andre Bjorklund in 11 and 12. Perez will be next to Scarrett in 13 and 14. Krakopoulos next to Chris Vetz in 15 and 16. Berger and Hulkinen in the next row. 19 and 20 will be Kenji Murata and Gordon Hauge. And Myron Ianni, don't usually see him in the back. I'm not sure if he failed to set a time in qualifying, but he will be bringing up the rear there in P21. And I'll tell you what, Aaron, we're going to be keeping an eye on Andreas Friedrich. That is him on your right there. Barry not yet on the grid, but Friedrich, I understand, has his clutch pretty well dialed in and can get some epic starts here. So we'll be looking for Friedrich to maybe make a move around the outside of turn 1. And there is Barry in the number 3 car. So he will have the inside line going into turn 1. But as I said, Friedrich can pull off some smoking starts. And of course, no traction control and standing start here. So the first challenge for these drivers is to get those radicals off the line clean as we wait for the lights here at Road America.
Yeah, just a few more drivers left to line up on the grid. It's just Sanchez and Ianni that we're waiting for, but you're absolutely right. Friedrich's start last week at VIR was absolutely something to behold and definitely could have won that race, and really unfortunate that he didn't, but I believe we're just about ready to go.
Yeah, and there are your lights. And again, that is Barry and Friedrich. Barry on the right, inside entry to turn 1. And we are green at Road America. Everyone getting away pretty clean here. And Friedrich does get a slight nose ahead of Barry, and he gets it done right on the front straight. Friedrich is going to lead into turn 1. It's going to be Friedrich from Barry, from Castro, who's also moved up. And Kettle Larson, Gullikson, Sanchez, Cadura, Gonzaga, Braun, and Bjorklund are your top 10. And so far, so good. That little kink right there is turn 2, and here is turn 3. We're gonna get some side-by-side action here as we head down the Moraine Straight into turn 5. Turn 5, a difficult downhill heavy braking zone where we are going to see some passes throughout the day here, and we may see one right now from Barry. Barry showing his nose, and Castro sniffing around there as well. Will we get 3 wide into turn 5? Castro looking inside of Friedrich. Can he make that stick? They're still side by side under the bridge, heading up into turn 6, and Castro is going to have the advantage. It's going to be Barry from Castro from Friedrich, and action already.
Yeah, some big action already. The fact that Barry nearly ended up 3rd at one point and has jumped back into the lead. Very clean start from all 21 of our drivers. No big incidents as of yet. And, well, the fact that all 21 of our drivers were within a second of each other in that qualifying session really goes to show how close it is. But here we go. Here's the replay of James getting past his teammate once again into turn 5. And I think this is still Friedrich's, one of his weaknesses is just he's a bit timid. He's a little bit safe, and sometimes it can work to his benefit, sometimes it cannot. But currently, he's just been overtaken by Larson as well. So, you know, it could get even worse for him, as behind that was Gullikson who was looking for a move as we head into Canada Corner. Everyone trying to make up places. And I was just thinking this just before we went green. I can't really think of a corner on this track that isn't a good place to overtake. I kind of think every corner has its pros and cons of overtaking. There's not really a corner where you'd say, you can't really overtake there. It's just a good, well-rounded circuit, and it's one of the reasons why it's my favorite. It's just absolutely glorious to race around here. But yeah, very, very mixed start from our front 4, but it's still James leading the way.
Yeah, too right, Aaron. And because every corner has that potential to get a move done, just showing your nose on some of these entries, even if you don't intend to make the move, can be enough to cause problems for your competitors. And there is, looks like Kyriakopoulos there getting by Scarrett there in the middle of the field. And that's something else I love about these radical races, Aaron, is you can be watching the front of the field, you can be watching the back of the field, and these guys are scrapping and fighting for every position for the entire race. And we're seeing more of it now, and a 3 wide into turn 5. Oh my goodness. And that's Kyriakopoulos looks like getting the worst of that. Or is that Gonzaga? Yeah, that was Gonzaga, the meat in the sandwich there. And there's 2 spinners. That is Gullikson and Regalado, both into the kitty litter. I see some body panels there flipping over the barrier. So if you're at the track, you can participate in that radical yard sale taking place there at turn 6. Everybody back underway, but really rough start here. Only lap 2, and you don't want to see contact and damage to these things on this high-speed track. Really require a clean body to take advantage of the aero.
Yeah, 100%. You don't want to risk any kind of tiny bit of damage, and that's how Sanchez got spun round behind. I believe that was Cadora who made contact with him, sent him spinning. And not much Sanchez could do there. And we'll probably see him make some decent progress in this race. We know how quick Sanchez can be. And also, while we were watching that, Castro indeed took the lead away from James Barry. I believe this was down at Canada Corner. And this is another good thing at Road America, the slipstream. No matter what car you're in, very close to contact there with James Barry. And I think James backed out of that one. He saw just how intense that one was going to be. Chose life over fighting Castro on this occasion, and we'll just have to let the American go for now, and hopefully they can keep tabs with each other, because they will produce some very, very good racing as Cadora and Gonzaga going wheel to wheel into the first corner, and just about keeping it on the road is Cadora. Good stuff from both of those drivers. Bit of a shame that iRacing hasn't updated this track yet, so you get a bit more runoff into turn 1. so that you can go side by side through there a little bit easier, but it just adds that little bit of challenge here at Road America, that if you stuff it into turn one, it's going to be a hard day for you, as Cadora seems to be bump drafting Gonzaga. Not sure I'd recommend that in this car, as Crowley as well, looking for an opportunity to go up the inside of Cadora as well. Nearly went up the inside, but just got a poor exit off of turn 6. And now you kind of have to settle in to this middle part of the lap all the way until you get to Kink and Canada Corner, pretty much.
Yeah, and a brave move back there on turn 1 by Gonzaga. He's now up 2 positions from his qualifying position of P9. He is up to P7. So maybe we're going to get a replay here. Yeah, you see that slipstream go to work. You duck out from behind the car in front. And Crowley not giving up on this one, or I'm sorry, Cadora wants to try the outside, gets a little bit of dirt there, and pretty good guard control by both of those drivers. I don't think Gonzaga was expecting that. He was clear at the entry, but Cadora breaking later on the outside, and Gonzaga giving him room and avoiding the incident there. And meanwhile, up front, it is still Barry from Castro, from Larson, and you see those cars packed together. The slipstream is going to show its ugly or beautiful face here, whatever your opinion of it is, and we're going to see a lot of lead changes due to that slipstream. Castro only enjoying about a 0.3 lead, and as you watch our timing tower there, just watch that gap drop. We're under the start finish, and Barry is going to have a run here. What's he going to do with it? And for now, he will back out of it. So Barry will lead Castro, Larson, and Friedrich in a tight little 4-car train. They're into turn 1. And Aaron, part of the strategy here is biding your time. I don't think you want to be in P1 when you see that white flag, because you're a sitting duck on a couple of these long straightaways.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. It's not impossible to defend at this track, but especially with these cars and how powerful the slipstream is, as Castro decides to give a great example of exactly that as he goes up the inside of Barry easily. Not really much the Brit could do there. And this is also the problem with everyone being so close, as that's Wes going a bit wide onto the entry of turn 5. But manages to keep it on the road. But yeah, because everyone's so close, it's very, very difficult to pull away from the slipstream. I mean, you know, a second pretty much between all 21 of our drivers, as Yanni is blinking out of existence completely, and it kind of looked like he went through the floor at Road America. And well, I kind of hope that didn't happen to Yanni. He is still in the race, in 19th albeit, but internet issues for the Italian there. Not the first time we've seen that this season, as Castro still leading the way currently, as Barry does gain on him, but not choosing to go for the move this time round. And well, will we see too many moves over the next laps, or are they just going to bide their time, like you were saying, JR, and are they just going to wait for those final few laps to really put the paces through this car?
Yeah, interesting stuff indeed in terms of strategy. We come here every season. I actually don't recall a Radical season that did not include this track, and so this strategic approach is kind of developing. Friedrich clearly backing out of this. He would be long past Larson if he stayed on the power here, and spoke a little too soon, because he is going to stick it out on the inside of turn 1, and you see how easy it is. The slipstream so powerful, and deep into 6th gear coming down that long straightaway here at Road America, and we see him rounding turn 3 here for the 5th time. Laps pretty long, but ticking right by, and it's going to be Castro from Barry, from Friedrich, from Larson, from Heinz Braun, and quietly Kim Andre Bjorklund is up 6 positions. Our hard charger currently sitting in P6. Yeah,
Bjorklund's doing fairly well in this race so far. Meanwhile, Castro has gotten back into the lead briefly, as Karakopolis getting hugely close to Haug in front, and Berger now up the inside, or at least was looking like it, through turn 6, but that was getting very dicey down there at turn 5, and that's kind of where you're going to see the most action. That and Canada Corner probably. I mean, turn 12 Canada Corner is going to be incredible on that last lap, as people really just dogfight it all the way until the end. As here is how Castro managed to get himself back into the lead of the race. It's just them swapping positions every single lap pretty much, and there's not really much point James really defending that one, to be honest. It's not like anything's going to change. He's still going to go on past. As currently, well, speaking of James, I believe he's just gotten back into the lead. And yes, he has, as Gabriel Berger trying to look up the inside of Kyriakopoulos. That looks like a fairly decent chance for the Brits to get past the Swiss driver. Very close between these two as they head through turn 13. Difficult to go side by side through this corner, but Gabriel judges it perfectly as Sanchez goes up the inside of Kyriakopoulos as well. Very opportunistic from the Peruvian driver and did it very, very well. Up into 12th for Berger and up into 13th for Sanchez.
Yeah, nice work by Sanchez there. He is not shy at all. He saw a little bit of daylight and just followed Hauge right through there past Kyriakopoulos, although Kyriakopoulos fighting back on the straightaway, and he'll try the inside of turn 1. Sanchez gets a taste of the kitty litter, and Kyriakopoulos back up into P13, and my goodness, what a great piece of driving by all these drivers, and what great racing here at Road America. I knew this was going to be a good one, and is not disappointed. And meanwhile, up front, it looks like Barry and Castro swapping places again. Friedrich sniffing around there as well, with Larson behind. Heinz Braun getting involved. You look at our timing tower, folks. Those orange numbers are intervals less than half a second, and you can see they are painting our entire timing tower. So very close racing out here today, as we were expecting, and very entertaining stuff as well.
Absolutely has delivered so far, and still we're about halfway through this race, got another 6 laps to go, and it's anyone's contest at the moment. Anything can happen to those top 5 cars, and then it can bring the likes of Bjorklund, Gonzaga, Cadora, Crowley, Scarrett, Haug, Berger. I mean, all of these guys pretty much all the way down to 18th. Anything can happen at any point, and then it's anyone's race to lose, as Barry and Castro still just trading places over and over again. And is it going to happen on this lap? Not this time. Castro is going to be a bit timid, but that might cost him, as Friedrich, of course, the teammate of James Barry, going to be a bit opportunistic and look like a decent opportunity to go up the inside. But just not enough speed carried through the corner, and Castro for now holding on to the place as Heinz Braun slowly has been gaining on these guys and potentially could be looking at a 4th place. Is Larson in front of him occupying that place? Can he get the slipstream down this straight? It doesn't look like it's going to be enough, as, well, pretty much all of these guys are kind of lacking a DRS train now. They're just slipstreaming each other, and it's just having a negative effect on the cars behind, as James Barry is just punching a massive hole in the air, and all of these guys are using that to their advantage, as Sanchez still battling with Kyriakopoulos. I think Kyriakopoulos actually got back past Sanchez at one point. Not sure if it was a mistake, but now Sanchez has gotten back past Kyriakopoulos again, as Perez now looking on the Swiss driver. Honestly, Kyriakopoulos has not gotten a single break in this race so far, as Castro once again taking the lead of the race, as Braun looking up the inside of Larson as he goes for 4th. James being left out to dry, as Braun might be looking up the inside of Andreas Friedrich, but backs out of it at the last minute, and that was probably the sensible thing to do.
And Braun putting on a hell of a drive here today. He is up 6 positions from his grid position of P10. And Braun definitely no slouch. You heard his name in the season top 10. And pretty aggressive driver and great on defense. So once Braun gets past you, very difficult to fight back against him. And my goodness. And taking a quick look at Chris Vetz here. He's looks like he's got Gullickson and Hulkinen all over him as he looks ahead to that fight. Kyriakopoulos, he's had a front row seat of the action between Sanchez, Kyriakopoulos, and Perez as we watch Wetz here going through the kink, flat out in 6th gear in these cars, no lift necessary, and that draft is pulling you as he looks at Perez. Perez, was he going to leave the inside open here? He does. And Vetz probably had an opportunity there, thought better of it. And lap 7 of 12 now. The laps are ticking down. And if you've got a move in your back pocket, you're going to have to play it out here fairly soon before it's too late, I would think.
Well, Chris actually, I would say, did the right thing there, as they are sort of bridging a gap between themselves and for Kyriakopoulos and Sanchez. And, well, if he had gone for the move, it definitely would have put them over a second back, and then it would have just caused all sorts of problems for them. So I think he actually did the sensible thing. Should probably give pair as a bit of a bump draft. But no, instead he actually has gotten past now, but exactly what I said would happen has happened. They lost a big chunk of time because of it, as well, for the millionth time Castro has gotten past James, as Sanchez and Kirakopoulos and Berger all going wheel to wheel, and they've decided to go 3 wide as we head down turn 4 and now into turn 5. This can only end one way if none of them back out, as they are swerving all over the place as Sanchez got wiggly into turn 5. Bit of door-to-door contact between those two, even though these cars don't have doors, as Sanchez around the outside at turn 6. He's got to be careful of Berger on his inside, and somehow they all still end up on the road. And, well, fair play to all 3 of them, but it's Kirakopoulos who ended up the beneficiary, up into 12th place and ahead of this huge chunk of cars that runs all the way down to 18th.
Yeah, great battle going on there, and we saw Sanchez. He kind of rolled the dice, trying to the outside line on the carousel, got bumped off into the kitty litter, and is having a recovery drive since. And Sanchez, very good driver, very fast driver, and he's somebody who comes home with paint chips from different cars, shall we say, probably in every race, and you saw a little bit of rubbing there. And here we are back at the front. That's Castro, Barry, Friedrich, Braun, and now Larson has joined this 5-car train. So, you know, believe it or not, folks, as these races wind down, the last lap or two, we have seen cars pick up 2, 3, 4 positions into turn 1 by taking advantage of that draft. So I think these guys are biding their time, and we're getting close to crunch time here as we begin lap 9 of 12. So that will give us 4 remaining, and Barry will come out of turn 1 in the lead. Barry from Castro, Friedrich from Braun, and Braun pressuring Friedrich. And I will say the beauty of teammates here. I know these guys sometimes are on comms together. I don't know if they are today, but I could certainly imagine a scenario where Barry wants to push Castro back into Friedrich. I think that we might have seen that happening on the entry to Canada Corner a lap or 2 ago. So, oh man, look at these guys scrapping up front. And there's Castro around the inside, and Braun around the outside of turn 5. Friedrich defending for his life against the hard-charging Heinz Brown. Again, up 6 positions. So among the hard chargers in the grid so far.
Yeah, Braun is really piling on the pressure to his fellow German compatriot at the moment. And it's kind of a matter of time, I think, until Heinz goes for a move. Whether it will work or not is yet to be seen, as, well, they don't want to allow the front 2 to romp away with it, as they have dropped back about 0.6 of a second. It's actually 0.7 now. So got to be a bit careful that they don't get left out to dry, and the slipstream doesn't actually take any effect whatsoever. And hopefully as they come through the kink and all the way down this back straight towards Canada Corner, I don't think there's going to be any moves this time. Not really worth the risk for James to go for one, at least on this lap. So it's going to be as you were, just a few corners to go for once. It's usually these two just swapping positions at Canada Corner and turn 5 every lap, but it's different elsewhere, as Chris Wett and Gabriel Berger. Chris is putting on an absolute show today, one of his better performances in terms of racing that I think I've seen in the last few rounds, as he really is putting that Radical through its paces and giving everyone that follows his track a run for their money. As well, here comes James once again, unsurprisingly, and Castro choosing not to fight that. We've only got about 3 laps to go in this race. It's absolutely flown by, and it's still, anyone in that top 5 could end up winning this. And I don't know who you'd put a bet on, to be honest. It's super, super close.
Yeah, it's so difficult to say. I would say anybody in that top 5, although you rightly pointed out, oh my goodness, and there's maybe a little bit of a curse there as we were complimenting Vets, and he has lost it and taken the toe. He has stuffed that Radical right as we were complimenting his good drive today. So Mr. Vets, so sorry about that. We were actually trying to be complimentary. It looks like you might have picked up a little bit of a curse here, and here is a replay of Vets. He's trying the inside of turn 1 and looks free and clear there. Nope, he overcooks that entry, gets in the grass, and hits the bump, and that Radical is spitting off parts. The suspension is bending, and it is over, and that Radical is now on a flatbed on its way back to the pits. Too bad for Vets. He had done so well so far.
Well, all I can say is apologies, and for anyone who says the commentator curse is not real, well, there you go. I literally spoke about him for 1 second, and 5 corners later, he's out of the race. So, yeah, I apologize, Chris. I will promise never to speak about you ever again, because, well, that happened, apparently. But there's Gonzaga getting past Bjorklund as they fight it out for 6th place. Still a couple seconds off this battle up the top of the field as Perez and Berger now going wheel to wheel as a result of Chris's little error into turn 1 as we come down the front straight for the second to last time in this race. And actually, Friedrich going for 2nd place, but will he manage to get a good enough run? Unfortunately not, as obviously he doesn't want to make any contact with his teammate, just has to settle back into 3rd. And you can sense that James is trying to back Castro into Friedrich, but it's just so difficult, as Friedrich obviously doesn't want to take that risk and make contact with James trying to go for the move, as they are so close between these cars. It is genuinely a few tenths between them all, and it's side by side once again as we head down into turn 5. James has chosen to defend this one, and is it going to work out? Oh, bit of contact there. I was talking about that, and that's Friedrich, who I believe bumped Castro out of the way. And up he goes into 2nd place. Definitely going to need to see what on earth happened there. I don't know if that was someone else. But my big question is, where's Heinz Braun gone? Might have been him, as he's suddenly off the road and lost a few places. As here is James and Castro going wheel to wheel. And there was Heinz going for a move on Friedrich. And, very lucky not to crash into the back of James there. And that's actually what happened.
Yeah, Braun here will ride along with him. He's testing the inside. He's got Friedrich on his right. Overcooks that entry a little bit. Runs out of brakes. And biff, right into the side of Castro. And good car control by Castro to gather that up. That could have been much worse for him. And, yeah, we see Braun. Braun is not shy behind the wheel of these radicals, Aaron, and he laid it all on the line right there. And here's Franco Sanchez still working his way back from his earlier problem as he fights his way past Scarrett. Now he's got Scarrett, Hauge, and Kirakopoulos behind him, and that'll put Sanchez up into P10. So he's within 3 positions of his grid position. Probably not going to get back there. And yeah, we're going to ride along with Sanchez here now coming into Canada. And is he going to get a twofer here? Oh my goodness, 3 wide on the entry to Canada. And Sanchez says, you know what, I'm faster than you guys. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to slam the door in your face. And you better get out of the way or there's going to be a crash. And Sanchez gone. And we see a lot of that out of him. And my goodness, fascinating stuff. And we are on the white flag now. We're back up with the leaders. It's Barry from Friedrich from Castro. And Friedrich now just kind of running interference, kind of Checo right now to James's Verstappen. He is not going to let Castro anywhere near that P1. He's going to let Barry kind of drive off with this, but very interesting stuff there. Castro certainly was in position to make a win happen here, and he needs a win as he's trying to fight his way up the standings to get that championship away from James Barry. And Heinz Braun not doing him any favors in that regard. Here are Barry and Friedrich going around the carousel for the last time, and we'll come out of the carousel into the kink, head down toward Canada, and they just need to keep it on the track. And that looks like that is going to be your podium. And again, Castro, very lucky that that incident with Braun was not worse. It could have been. And Castro actually in danger here. Here's Larson's going to try the outside of Canada. It is doable and done. And Larson knocks out Andre Castro down another rung. So now your podium is looking like Barry from Friedrich from Larson. And my goodness, did that race ever take a turn for the American Andre Castro?
Yeah, it really did. He's going to be not too happy with Heinz Braun at all. Maybe a few words need to be said after the race. But James is going to be absolutely over the moon as he wins here at Road America. And that's just going to put a huge smile on his face as it extends his lead. As that was a very, very close finish behind. Only a few tenths between Castro all the way down to Crowley. That was very, very close. between all of those guys, but Castro going to be very, very disappointed. And that's Heinz Braun with even more damage. I'm not sure if that was after the checkered flag. I can imagine so. As Castro, not sure what happened to him there, as he lost about a second going through those last few corners. Maybe just got a bit frustrated after getting overtaken by Larson. But that race, in just 2 laps, went from pretty good for Andrea Castro. He was leading and, ended absolutely disastrously, as this is what happened after the race. Everyone getting very close, and I hope none of them have a direct drive wheel.
Oh my goodness. And Braun, even after his aggression not working out for him, that we saw into turn 5 on the previous lap, trying to stick it in there and thread the needle right at the starter's tower. And you saw how that turned out. He still managed a P6 out of that, though, and up 4 positions from his grid position. So my goodness, what a race, Aaron, and not disappointed at all. This is exactly what I was expecting. And let me take a peek outside. I'm betting that James is out in the interview room waiting on us, so let me go take a peek while you run the folks through our final standings.
Well, it was a very, very close race in the end between, pretty much everyone. To be honest, it was 17 seconds for the top 16 cars, which might sound like a lot, but for this series, these cars, that is absolutely incredible. And it was very, very good racing from most of our drivers. And it was James Barry who ended up winning out of all 21 drivers. Very well deserved, and was just very, very clean, very strategic out of everyone. And again, extending his lead in that iRacing Championship, and he will leave here with a smile on his face, as Andreas Friedrich probably could have had a better chance at a win if things had just gone a little bit differently for him today. But still, P2, I think he'll be decently happy with that. Larson with a podium in P3, he definitely will be happy with that. Very good move on the final lap to get ahead of Castro, who ended up in 4th in the end. Gonzaga ended up with a very silent 5th place, but a very good 5th place. Fair play to Jorge Gonzaga. Heinz Braun finishes in 6th after contact with Castro. Bjorklund in 7th. Crowley in 8th. Cadora in 9th. Sanchez with a decent comeback to come all the way into the top 10. Kiarkopoulos had, a very, very monstrous race, battling pretty much the entire time, as he finishes in 11th, Scaret in 12th, Haug in 13th, Berger in 14th, Alkanen in 15th, Perez in 16th place, Gullickson in 17th, Iani finished down in 18th, Murata in 19th, Ricciardo in 20th, and Chris Wetz, who, the less said the better, in 21st.
And nobody is in the interview here yet, Aaron. And what's going on is I've got one ear in iRacing comms, and these drivers enjoyed this race just as much as we enjoyed watching it. They're still in there talking about everything that happened. So we'll give it another minute, and lo and behold, there he is. James Barry, our season champ at the moment, and today's victor at Road America. And James, my goodness, what a race. It could have gone to any of 5 drivers at the end, and a kind of, a high-risk move by Heinz Braun got Castro out of your rearview mirror and kind of handed you the win. So how did that race unfold from your seat?
Well, it went the way I was hoping, I suppose. Obviously, just trying to stay out of trouble for most of it. Obviously, you can't pull away from the guys behind, but you want to just stay in the top kind of 2 drivers, just to make sure that when it comes to the end there, you're in the best position when SHIT hits the fan, as it did. And I didn't see the move from Heinz, but I saw obviously he got something wrong, which didn't surprise me too much. When people are following behind and then 2 laps to go, suddenly they have a chance to go for the lead, then sometimes they take risks that otherwise they wouldn't, and that's why stuff like that happens sometimes. And I was just fortunate that I put my car in the right place. I made the decision to go past Andre on the previous lap, and then I decided with 2 laps to go, I'm going to start defending now for my life. And fortunately I was just in the right place at the right time there.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you'll watch the broadcast, Braun's eyes a little bigger than his brakes there. And I'm not sure if he was picturing taking all three positions in one fell swoop, but he certainly had designs on your teammate, Friedrich, and overcooked that entry, ran out of brakes, and went into Castro. It actually could have been a lot worse for Castro. He was lucky to be able to gather that one up. But my goodness. And so tell me, I'm curious, at Road America, where you know you're going to be switching positions maybe multiple times a lap, are you keeping a lap chart next to you? Do you have a plan when you're going to lay back and when you're going to go for it, or is it more organic than that?
For me, the plan is just to get to the last couple of laps. As I said, I don't want to leave it to the last lap to start defending, because then it just gets too frantic, I think. But last couple of laps, just keep your skin in the game, keep in the top 2-3 cars at least. Up to that point, there's not much point trying to keep the lead, because it's just too difficult to stay in front. There's such a strong slipstream in this car. So yeah, it's just about survival till the end, and then on the last couple of laps, you can really go for it.
Right. Okay. Well, James, you are at the top, and Castro, of course, making a pretty significant charge up the leaderboard. He's all the way up to P3, about 300 behind you. And he mentioned last time we spoke to him that he thought he had a crack at the championship. So how do you like your position heading into the final 2 weeks of the season? I'm just looking at the standings now. Actually, it's confusing me because it says 10 weeks counted. I don't think that's right. So I was worried until a couple of races ago after Donington. I had a terrible time at Donington, but last week I got ahead of him, and then with this week's result, I think it's over, to be honest. We both still have a couple of scores that can be improved upon by a lot, but I think the gap's going to be quite big now. So I think I'm in a very good place. All right. Well,
might be wrong, but I don't know.
Yeah, very well done. And looking ahead, we have Sebring and Interlagos next. So what are your thoughts about Sebring? I have a very fond memory of an epic move by you into Sunset that I still sometimes go back and watch. So are you looking forward to getting back to Florida and taking the fight to Castro out on the old tarmac?
Yeah, for sure. I think it will be competitive there, but it's a track I enjoy. It's a high skill track. I think someone like Andre is going to be very quick at Sebring. I'm not necessarily the quickest there, so it'll be interesting, and yeah, should be good fun.
All right, fantastic. Well, as we wrap it up, James, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Shout out Andreas there he was playing the team game to quite a large extent there, just trying to attack Andre where he could, and then on the last lap he told me he's not going to attack me. So that was kind of him. I was ready to start defending for my teammate on that last lap. So yeah, shout out to Andreas.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was playing Checo to your max there to keep Lewis Hamilton away from you. So definitely good work from him, and we were watching that. So, all right, well, great job, and congratulations again, James, and we will see you next week at Sebring.
Yeah, cheers. See you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, Aaron, I think I'm not getting a name, but I think I have Jorge Gonzaga here. So we'll go ahead and bring him in and see get his thoughts on today.
Well, welcome to the booth, Gonzaga. It was a fairly good and clean race from your behalf, some good wheel-to-wheel action all round, and ended up picking a cheeky 5th place spot because of it. And, well, just how pleased are you with that result?
I'm ecstatic. That's why I came to the interview, because I was super excited. Yeah, it was a battle. Like Kim was, I think, 3 seconds, so I managed to narrow that gap without no draft, so I was really proud of it. And then I get close to him. I decided to go for it. And then I think I got a freebie with Heinz having an incident and kind of getting a bit of a battle. And then that photo finish with Heinz on the end, it was just the cherry on top, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a very, very intense race from you pretty much all the time. And is it a bit of a struggle here at Road America just to try and catch back up to people because of how close it was? I mean, in qualifying, it was about a second between the entire field. Is that a bit of a struggle here?
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's because there's a lot of straights, so obviously the car mechanics weigh a lot. So everyone has very similar times. And yes, I think the pole was the 59.8, I think, and then up to the P7 was 2 minutes 0. So obviously 2/10, it's very narrow gap, which kind of shows that, you know, it's pretty much a straight circuit, which, you know, has its ups and downs. It's really fun if you're going behind someone. It's really frustrating when you're going ahead because, you know, it can be 1 second gap in pace, but, you know, you cannot shake them. So there's a few tactics in order to address that. Waiting for your moment, being patient, tactical. So yeah, that's kind of what this circuit is all about, I think, and that's what appeals to many people.
Yeah, I think I really do agree with you there. It's a nice, tricky track and very difficult, like we were talking about in the broadcast, to actually nail this track 100%, but really, really fun nonetheless. But going into next week, we head to Sebring. And I think that's going to be a really interesting one in terms of the current track combination. Is that one you're looking forward to, or maybe you're dreading a little bit?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think whoever has sim motion rigs, they're not, because it's very bumpy. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Sebring is also a classic, and I think this end of the season, this calendar, it was really nicely put. I think it's really interesting also to boost the numbers on participation, and you know, three splits kind of shows how the community is reacting to it. So yeah, it's going to be a fun track. Again, a lot of technical corners, a lot of straights, a lot of draft fest, which I do like it. It kind of levels up. It's a bit of a BOP, a natural BOP of the car, and that's kind of why I like to have this humongous draft. So yeah, I think I'm really looking forward, and I think it's Interlagos, the last one as well. Well, we had the World Finals as well in there, so it's a very familiar track. So yeah, I'm really looking forward for the remaining two.
Yeah, it should be some good fun these last two rounds. Really looking forward to it. It's been a spectacular season all round, and we hope it continues to be spectacular for these last 2 weeks. Well, thank you for coming and having a chat with us, Gonzaga. And as always, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a quick mention or shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to James. Congrats on the victory. It was really good. It's a really intense battle between Andre and James. I know Andrea still has a few races, so I think the victory from James today was a really good boost for that. But also a special shout out to Andreas Friedrich, my teammate as well, because I'm always trying to push him to come to the interviews and he's always shy. And even now I was like, come on, go. But he doesn't budge, so he says that he's waiting for his victory to come in and speak to you guys. But yeah, to Andreas and to Myron as well. I know Myron didn't have the best of races today, but he's a good lad. He's a good kid, and yeah, my teammates are amazing. We had an amazing season, so a big shout out to them.
Yeah, the entire insert name iRacing team seem to be having a pretty damn good season, not just here, but also in the World Finals, and the entire European Championship as well was pretty good from the lot of you, and I'm sure all of them appreciate your kind words. And to Andreas, you know, we're hoping for that victory. Come talk to us. We've been waiting months. I don't remember the last time we had a chat with Andreas. It'd be lovely.
I don't think he ever came to the interview. I don't think he ever came to an interview, so that's why I'm really pushing. So hopefully with this shout out, next time he will be here.
Yeah, hopefully he will grow some confidence. It's all right, Andreas. We don't bite normally. But thank you, Gonzaga, and congrats on the P5. Was well deserved, and good luck for next week.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
All right, that was Jorge Gonzaga, P5 finisher, again up 4 from his starting position and involved in some fantastic racing throughout that one. So, and folks, we are not just about these fantastic radicals here on Apex Racing TV. This weekend, as the weather cools up, the racing heats up on Monday. Simware.eu Porsche Cup Benelux at Red Bull Ring, and the Rikmatech Minimite Sports Car Challenge will be at Sebring. And on Thursday, Thanksgiving, you can ignore your drunk racist uncle and watch Evolution GT3 Championship at Laguna Seca and ARL sell prototypes at Monza. That is what those earbuds are for. So like, subscribe, and notify to Apex Racing TV. Make sure you don't miss any of the action. And that is going to wrap up our broadcast for today. Thank you so much for joining us from today's broadcast of the Radical Esports Cup. And be sure to join us next Friday, 2100 GMT, for more Radical action as we head south to Sebring International Raceway. I am JR Gregory on behalf of myself, my partner Aaron Wilkie, our producer, my partner Aaron Smith. They're close, but not that close, folks. Our producer Joshua Wilkie and everyone else here at Apex Racing TV. Have a great Friday and an even better weekend.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.